In this presentation, you will learn about the major trends of social transformation in Indian society. Indian society is the product of a long and complex historical process. The seven major events that contributed to the formation of this process are the Aryan Advent, the emergence of the Indian protest, religions, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, the entry of non-Indic religions into the subcontinent as immigrant religions, the Muslim conquests, Western colonialism, the anti-colonial freedom struggle, and the partition of the Indian subcontinent in 1947 on the eve of the British exit. The product of this long process is a four-in-one society. Like all societies, Indian society too is stratified based on age, gender, rural-urban differences and class. But unlike many of them, Indian society is marked by considerable cultural heterogeneity. However, what is unique to India is that the all-pervasive caste hierarchy legitimized through the Hindu doctrine of karma and reincarnation. Major trends of social transformation. The complex structure of Indian society is based on four major trends. Trend from cumulative to dispersed dominance. First, a transitional trend from cumulative to dispersed dominance. If status, wealth, and power were earlier concentrated in the hands of the twice born caste, Hindus, Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, accounting for a mere 15 to 20% of the population, now there is an incipient trend towards dispersal of political power to the OBCs, SCs, and STs due to adult franchise. In addition to the dispersal of political power, there is also a limited dispersal of wealth among the above categories, heralding the birth of a middle class among them. The policy of protective discrimination, as in reserving seats in educational institutions and government service, are primarily responsible for the emergence of a bourgeois among the SCs and STs. The kulaks among the OBCs are a product of agrarian reforms which abolished absentee landlords and transferred land to the tenants and sharecroppers drawn from among them, and the Green Revolution, which provided subsidized inputs and assured minimum prices for agricultural products to owner cultivators. However, the changes in power and wealth are not matched by a change in status. Interdining, intermarriage, and social interaction between the twice born and the SCs are still rare, particularly in rural areas. This results in status incongruence, that is, their upward mobility in wealth and power is not matched by mobility in status. Second, the gradual movement from hierarchy to equality. The second major trend in social transformation manifests in the gradual movement from hierarchy to equality, resulting in the decline of traditional collectivism and the emergence of individualism. With the emergence of individualism, the salience of traditional collectivities manifested through joint family, jati, village, etc., are relegated to the background. While there is no neat and tidy displacement of collectivism by individualism, the birth of the Indian individual is clearly in evidence. Third, the simultaneous demands for equality and assertion of collective identity. The third important trend in social transformation in India is the simultaneous demands for equality and the assertion of collective identity. The Indian Constitution unambiguously assured equality and concomitantly social justice to all individuals irrespective of caste, creed, or class. At any rate, the stigma associated with their identity prompted them to abandon it and plumb for assimilation, as the process of Sanskritization implied. But gradually it dawned on them that individual equality per se would not emancipate them, and they needed to reinvent dignity in their collective identity. Expressions such as Dalits and Adivasis in the place of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes clearly point to this trend. Fourth, the fourth transition is the movement from a plural society to pluralism. A plural society is one in which different social and cultural segments uneasily coexist, interacting in the economic context, but prohibiting legitimate transfusion of blood, which is intermarriage, or transmission of culture. This arrangement prevailed within the Hindu society through the operation of the Jajmani system for centuries. The twice-born castes interact with the OBCs and SCs both in the political and economic context, but have very limited interaction in the social cultural contexts. The four trends of change that have been listed, namely the movement from cumulative to dispersed dominance, from hierarchy to equality, and the consequent birth of individualism, the simultaneous demand for equality and identity, and the gradual transition from a plural society to pluralism, have tremendous methodological implications for the study of Indian society. Context. The view from below is an old and persisting issue in social science, particularly in sociology and social anthropology. But concomitant to the emergence of the traditionally oppressed and stigmatized collectivities as partially emancipated and empowered ones, their conventional silence is being replaced by audible new voices. In turn, the need for their representation in the process of knowledge production is grudgingly being recognized. If earlier those who occupied the bottom of society were invisible due to the cognitive blackout perpetuated by the upper caste, middle class urban male researchers today, they are in full view and demand their legitimate share of representation in the production and representation of knowledge. All societies have their bottoms. Thus, the bottoms of societies which are homogeneous and merely stratified are occupied by women, youth, and the proletariat. These categories have questioned the knowledge produced by their counterparts, men, adults, and the bourgeois. Over a period of time, the specific role of each of these disadvantaged categories has come to be recognized in the production of knowledge. In culturally heterogeneous societies, if the segments are unequal, small, or economically weak, or culturally backward, or all of these, the tendency is to ignore them in the representations of reality. There are numerous instances when these ignored or marginalized communities demand to be represented in the process of knowledge production. A familiar example in India is the neglect of the numerous less developed linguistic communities. In plural societies, the unrepresented bottom categories are invariably viewed as outsiders to the society, as in the case of followers of the non-Indic religions in India. Voices of protest from them have gradually led to the provision of space for their experience in the context of knowledge production. The bottom layer in hierarchical societies is constituted by the cumulatively deprived sections of society. Unlike women, youth, proletariat, culturally backward or alien segments which are deprived in one of the contexts, the cumulatively deprived are subjected to multiple deprivations. They are found only in hierarchical societies. The ex-untouchables of India afford an ideal example of this category of bottom. Thank you for watching the presentation. Do like, subscribe, share, and leave your comments about this presentation or any other topics you would like to learn more about.